Hey everyone, Patrick. Into today's video, we're going to have a look at the weather next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, this takes us off into June. Can you believe we'll be going well into the first week of the new month? Looks like high pressure going to start to build in next week, and that could bring us some drier and warmer weather. We may have our first warm push of the summer. There's a little bit of uncertainty about it, however, so it's not a done deal by any means. The exact position of high pressure will be crucial, but certainly for a few days during the first week of June, it does look as though we could get some summery type weather. Now, before we get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all the pages at gazwiz.com. Have a browse through widgets, any articles that you're interested in. Please click through. You'll be able to go for read the article. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also the ads on most pages. They open out the content. Once you give them a watch, they'll close back up again. Thanks for getting involved, and it's helped paid website, so thanks for doing that. So starting off with the Central England temperature from Hadley at the UK Met Office, just see where we stand in provision up to the 25th of May. We're at 11.0. I say that is provisional, it's not the final number by any means. It's an anomaly of 0.0 degrees, so we're bang on the long-term average. This is actually the old 61 to 90 average that they're still using here. So if you was to compare this to a more modern average, say 71 to 2000 or 81 to 2010, we would be below average right now, because that's a warmer data set, of course, taking into account the warming that's occurred over the past 20 years or so. So we're at 11.0 provisionally for May Central England temperature. When we come out at the end of the month, I think that's likely to be corrected downwards a little bit. So certainly 71 to 2000 and 81 to 2010 averages will be cooler than average with this month. We may well finish up cooler than average with 61 to 90 as well. Won't be a lot in it, but a few tenths of a degree certainly possible once we get through to the end of the month. So pretty cool month really, and as I say, we haven't had a cold month since August 2014, cold and average month since August 2014, so quite noteworthy what's happened this month. So as we go on into June, these are the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. We've got the ECMWF here on the left and the GFS is over on the right. These are the mean anomaly flow charts of the next 8 to 10 days time. Blue extrapolates to low pressure and orange extrapolates to high pressure, of course. We see that on both the charts, we've still got trough low pressure running to the north. The jet stream is still fairly strong coming off the Atlantic, but the big difference is that it's pushing northwards as, excuse me, as this ridge builds down to the southwest of the country from the Azores. So although the jet stream is still relatively strong actually, certainly for the time of year, because it's being pushed northwards, it means we're going on to the warm side of the jet here as this ridge builds up from the south and the southwest. And overall, that's sort of high pressure taking over as we get through into the first week of June. So that's where the drier, warmer conditions may well be coming from as this ridge builds up from the southwest and pushes the jet stream away to the north of the country. Because the jet stream is still relatively strong for the time of year anyway, I've got to be careful with this. It may well be, but when we get to this time frame during the first week of June, this ridge doesn't build as strongly because the jet stream is sort of barreling into it, and we may finish up actually cooler and more unsettled than expected. So caution is needed with this. As I say, the jet stream is unusually strong still for this time of year. But the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles do look quite good on the face of it. Deal with the temperatures first of all. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average. You can see up to the start of June, this is the 1st of June, just here. Up to then, we're sort of around or even a little bit cooler than average. As we get through the first week of June, which is this sort of period here, you can see that the temperatures are picking up, so we're going significantly above average, really, as we go through into the first week of June, going above the red line. And there's good agreement on that, actually, although this is in the second part of the ensemble chart, which is sort of the unreliable time frame. Very good agreement there that we push the temperatures up. So it does look as though it's turning warmer, most definitely, as we get through into the first week of June. But precipitation spikes not a great deal going on with them. Looks like we're going to have some unsettled conditions around the start of the month, around the start of June. As I say, this area just here, but I've sort of highlighted. Overall, not a great deal of rain coming through, and as we go through into this period where the temperatures are pushing up, actually there's quite a bit of dry weather. Precipitation spikes really do look, there's not many of them at all really coming through then, so fairly dry period, certainly for the south, and warmer. It's the impression that you get from looking at those charts as we get through to the first week of June. Now, the temperature anomaly for the coming week, which is 26th of May to the 3rd of June, still comes out cooler than average. And the reason that's happening, as I say, it's quite cool, really, at the moment. We'll be staying so up to the 1st of June. So, although we've got this warmer weather coming up through the first week of June, for the coming week, actually, it's coming out relatively cool. The warm weather is beyond this period just about. The precipitation anomaly shows that it's drier than average for the coming week in the south and wetter than average up in the north. So it's still the pattern that we've had through May, with the jet stream more or less running through the country, a little bit to the north, but more or less running through quite strongly, bringing rain to the north and dry, drier conditions down to the south. So here's the generic charts. Here's the GFS for Monday. We start off with low pressure dominating on the first day of June, which is the first day of meteorological summer as well, of course. Bringing rain through on the 1st of June. But after that is when we get the high pressure beginning to ridge up from the Azores. The classic Azores high starting to move towards us, pushes the jet stream up to the north. So by the time we go through to Wednesday the 3rd of June, there we are with the high pressure developing to the south. Classic summer pattern this. High pressure bridges in from the Azores, pushes the jet stream up to the north and brings us drier and warmer weather, and that high pressure takes over then as we go through into the second half of next week. This is a very warm looking chart for the 4th of June, firstly the 4th, high pressure dominating most of northern and western Europe, bringing these easterly winds through. We'll have to watch out for cloud around southern and eastern coast in particular, but also bringing warmth up from the continent, and that pattern stays with us more or less into day 10, with the high pressure remaining dominant by that point. So lots of dry weather coming up next week, if this is right, and the high pressure builds in, will also be turning warm. We start off quite cool with the upper air temperatures through the first part of next week, but the upper air temperatures do lift up as we go through next week. So we finish up on day 10, which is Friday the 5th of June, with the 10 Celsius ice firm in there across the country. So it is significantly warmer. Temperatures with that will probably be rising up to around 24, maybe 25 degrees. That seems to be mid to upper 70s Fahrenheit. The ECMWF agrees with this really. So we start off at the start of next week on an unsettled note with these westerlies coming in across the country. Stays unsettled through the first part of next week, then the Azores high inflates down to the south and starts to reach northwards. So we end up on day 10, Friday the 5th of June, again with high pressure more or less around the country. It's all a little bit more slacker compared to the GFS, so there's more potential for this to go wrong, probably, but nevertheless, I think the general impression from the ECMWF is that through next week, turning increasingly dry and warm from the south. And then the GEM finally, here we are at the start of next week, starting unsettled with low pressure dominating for the first day of June. And then the high pressure inflates by the middle of next week down to southwest, starts to push northwards. You see black line here is the jet stream, that's going to the north of the country. So we end up on day 10, again with high pressure very dominant around the country. Will bring lots of dry and warm weather. So on the face of it, it looks like we've got good agreement there across the models and within the GFS ensemble suite for it to turn a good deal warmer and drier through the course of next week, with our first sort of burst of proper summer warmth at some point through next week, probably later on, if anything. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week is when we're looking start to lift those temperatures, perhaps up toward the mid-20s Celsius. As I say, but one caveat with all of this is that the jet stream, although it's being shoved up to the north, it looks like it's remaining pretty strong, and if it doesn't get pushed up far enough north, there is the potential here, despite this cross-model agreement, there is the potential for this to go wrong in the end. So we've got to be a bit cautious with it, but so far so good. A taste of summer next week. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.